So we're ready to get started with our weight training class today. You need a mat and or a chair. All of our exercises are going to have variations for using a chair or not. If you're not going to use a chair, you probably do want a mat for a little cushion because several of the exercises we're going to do today are going to be on the floor if you're not using the chair. I have one heavier weight and two medium weights. I also have my backup lighter weights in case I start to get fatigued, because I always want to put safety first. So grab your gear, put on some music, and we'll get started. We're going to start with a nice gentle warm up today. Swinging our arms side to side, loosening up our back. It's one of my favorite things to do to start getting moving, especially in the morning. It really helps to wake everything up, but in a gentle way. We're going to do 2 more to either side. And then bring everything back to center. Nice big arm circles going forward. And then go backwards. And then swing your arms in and out across your chest, one arm on top and then the other. Beautiful. From here, moving down to your elbows, nice big circles in one direction. And then go the other way. And then wrists. And go the other way. And then fingers, just squeeze them in and out. Make sure your hands are nice and woken up too. All right, moving on to your lower body. If you're standing, some nice big hip circles in one direction. If you're sitting, you're gonna just bop your knees side to side, getting some movement through your hips to wake everything up there. If you're standing, go the other way. If you're seated, maybe go a little further if that's in your range of motion. Let your body turn a little bit too. Beautiful. Moving on to knees. If you're standing, start just checking things out with a little backward and forward. But if it feels good, go ahead and add in some circles in one direction. And if you're seated, you're just going to lean back, lift those feet off the floor, and swing your legs. So if you're standing, go ahead and go the other way. Beautiful. Now moving down to your ankles. Seated or standing, you're going to pick one foot up and just spin it in one direction. And go the other way. And then switch feet. And go the other way. And then put both feet back flat on the floor, and we are ready to get started. So for our first movement today, we're going to do a squat with an upright row. So I'm going to use my slightly heavier weight. I'm going to hold it in both hands sideways in front of me. You can do either an air squat where you're just squatting down in the air, come all the way up, pull it up. You can use the chair to help you make sure you're not going too deep in that squat. Come down for a chair squat or a sit to stand, and then come all the way up. Or if you're doing the full seated version, you just want to bring your knees out nice and wide and stick with just the upright row. Your call, pick the variation that works for you. We've got 1 minute. Here we go. Beautiful. Lifting it straight up. And coming up to about your shoulder height. Letting your elbows flare out to the side. Nice, good job. If anything feels uncomfortable in the motion of your shoulders, adjust your grip. You can turn it the other way, come out to the side, come in narrower, whatever's going to make it work better for you. Or you can just put that weight down and do the same motion empty hand. Almost there, 15 seconds to go. Looking good, you got this. Time. Go ahead and set that weight off to the side. Shake everything out for a second. Now from here, you have a choice, either to stick with the heavier weight or go down a little lighter. We're gonna do a hammer curl with a calf raise. We're gonna do one side and then switch at the halfway mark to the other side. So you're gonna go everything up and then everything down. Calves and hand all at one time. For a hammer curl, you wanna bring it across in front of your body, not out in front like a bicep curl. If you're doing the seated version, you can do the same thing. Again, bring those knees out wide. As you come up, you just come up for the calf raise in the seated position, or leave that off altogether and focus on the hammer curl. 1 minute on the clock. Here we go. Nice and steady. Lower with control. Beautiful. Halfway there on this arm. Switching in 5 seconds. And switch sides. Nice, steady breathing. Ten seconds to go. If you lose your balance on your calf raise, no worries. Just keep going. All movement is good movement as long as it doesn't hurt. So just keep moving. Time. All right, next up, if you are not using a chair, you're gonna go all the way down to the floor for this one. I'm gonna get my medium weights, come all the way down, flat on my back, knees bent, feet flat on the floor. And I'm gonna bring my elbows out nice and wide beside me to come up for a wide press, down for a skull crusher, back up, and then back out. So nice and easy with good control. Now, if you are doing the seated version, you're going to do an incline wide press in your chair. If you have a hard back chair, you may want a little cushion here. You're going to lean all the way back. Same thing, arms out wide, press up, curl back, and then come out wide again. Choose your variation, 1 minute on the clock. Here we go. Slow and steady, making sure you go up and down at the same speed with good control both directions. If at any point you find that you can't lower for the skull crusher with control, set the weights to the side or just leave the skull crusher off and just do that wide press. But you want to make sure you don't whack yourself in the head with those weights. 20 seconds to go. You got this. Almost there. And time. All right, set those weights aside. Give your arms a little shake. Next up, we have a Russian twist. So if you're on the floor, stay on the floor, but you're going to come to a seated position. If you're in your chair, scoot to the edge, Grab your weight right in front of your chest. You're going to lower it to one hip and then the other. Now, if you want to make it a little harder, lean back so that you're engaging more of your core muscles while you're doing the Russian twist. 1 minute on the clock. Here we go. Nice and steady. Check in with your breathing. You should be able to breathe comfortably and say a short sentence. If you feel like you could hold a long conversation, you might want to up the work just a little bit, either up the weight or go a little bit faster. If you feel like you can't talk at all, maybe a little too much exertion, dial it back just a bit. 20 seconds to go. Keep breathing, slow and steady. Almost there. Time. Sit all the way up, shake everything out, maybe lean forward just a little bit, counter that stretch you got if you were doing the lean back. And then we're moving on to a clam shell. Now, if you're on the floor, you're gonna stay on the floor, prop up on one elbow. You have two options here. You can either do the unweighted clam shell with a lateral raise. That's gonna focus a lot more work on your shoulder. Or you can set that weight right on top of your leg and do a weighted clam shell. You choose. Now, if you're doing it in the chair, it gets a little trickier, but you can handle it. You're gonna turn sideways, grab the back of the chair for support, pull that top knee in, and then you can do the same thing, either the clamshell with the lateral raise or the weighted clamshell. The more you lean back, the more clamshell effect you'll get. So it's up to you what variation you choose. If the chair is hard for you to sit in like this, just focus on the lateral raise and work those shoulders. So pick your variation, 1 minute on the clock. Here we go. Nice and steady. Make sure you're working the muscles in both directions, whatever variation you choose. And you can change in the middle. You feel like maybe you want to add some shoulder work, throw that lateral raise in there. If you feel like maybe that shoulder work is a little too much, drop that weight back down to your leg. Almost there. 10 seconds to go. And time. Set everything down, shake everything out, and then flip over for the other side. So again, pick whatever variation is going to work best for this side. It doesn't have to be the same as last side. Get that weight ready. And here we go. Keep breathing. You're halfway done. If you feel good, keep going in that same variation. If you don't, try something different. 15 seconds to go. You got this. Time. Go ahead and set everything down, shake everything out, and grab some water. That's 1 set down, 2 to go. All right, take a deep breath and then bring it back in so we can start our next round. We're back to the upright row with the squat. Grab your weight. Remember, between sets is always a great time to stop and assess. Was it a little too hard? Was it a little too easy? Should I go up in weight, down in weight, try it without the weight altogether, or choose a different variation? If anything didn't work for you, try one of the other variations for this round. 1 minute on the clock. Here we go. Beautiful. Looking good. Nice form on those squats. "20 seconds to go." Almost there. Time. Beautiful. Set that weight aside. Shake everything out for a second, and then get ready for the calf raises with the hammer curl. We'll switch halfway through. Here we go. Up and down with good control. Halfway done on this side. Five seconds till we switch. And switch. Nice. Five more seconds. And time. All right, up next we have that wide press plus the skull crushers. So all the way to the floor or in chair, you decide. 1 minute on the clock. Here we go. The floor version of this exercise gives you a little more stability because your elbows can't go any further than your back. The chair version actually for this exercise is a little harder because it does give you more of that flex that you get from an incline press. Whichever variation you're doing, make sure you can still breathe comfortably and that you're lowering and raising with equal control. Time. Set those weights to the side. We're moving into our Russian twist. So again, chair or floor, whichever one is better for you. Grab your weight, 1 minute on the clock. Here we go. Remember, the further back you lean, the more work you're going to do in your core. And if you're really feeling like up in the ante, you can try lifting your feet up off the floor For some people, that gives you a little extra burn in your core. For others, it puts a lot of strain on the lower back. So try it. If it doesn't work for you, set those feet right back down. If it does work for you, great. Keep them up as long as you can. 20 seconds to go. And time. Set that weight aside. Curl everything in. Give yourself a little counter stretch if you were doing that lean back. And then we're going to move on to those clam shells. Again, floor or chair, lateral raise or weighted clam shell. Pick your variation. Here we go. You got this. Feel free to mix it up in the middle, changing the variation, or lowering the weight, or raising the weight. It's like the choose your own adventure of exercise. Almost there. Time. Give yourself just a second, and then flip over to the other side. Once you're all in position, have your weight at the ready. Here we go, 1 minute on the clock. Halfway done on this side. "15 more seconds. You got this. You're almost done with your second round. Time. Go ahead and shake everything out. Give yourself a second and grab some water. And then we have 1 round left to go. All right, bring it back in. Go ahead and grab your weight for that squat plus upright row. 1 minute on the clock. Here we go. Slow and steady, especially on your third round. It's okay to go a little slower and really focus on the muscles. You can build strength and cardio at the same time, but you don't have to. It's okay to focus on one or the other. And right now we're focused on strength. 15 seconds to go. Time. Next up, we have that hammer curl plus calf raise. Grab whatever weight is best for you, or go without a weight altogether. 1 minute on the clock. Switching at the halfway point. Excellent. Looking good. 5 seconds till we switch. And switch. Ten seconds to go. Slow and steady. Time. All right, next up, we have that wide press plus skull crusher. Grab your weights, floor or chair, up to you. 1 minute on the clock. Here we go. So you can see doing this one in the chair allows my elbows to come down a little bit lower. Works those chest and back muscles just a little bit more. This is a great one for a bench as well, if you have one. Not everybody has a bench at home. "15 seconds to go. And time. Beautiful. That one got my arms a little shaky. All right, from here, we're gonna move into our Russian twist. Make sure you have that weight centered and ready. 1 minute. Here we go. One thing you do have to watch out for is not whacking your chair with your weights. Same thing for your floor. If you're not using a mat, be careful on this one that you're not denting your floor either. Halfway there, 30 seconds down, 30 seconds to go. All right, slow it down for the last part. I want you to do this one in slow motion. Really focus on those core muscles. You got this. 5 more seconds. Time. All right, last up, we have our clam shell with the lateral raise or a weighted clam shell. You choose. Go ahead and get yourself in position. 1 minute on the clock. Here we go. Nice and steady. If you haven't tried the lateral raise and you want to, this is a good time to try it in your last round. If you've been doing the lateral raise and you haven't tried that weighted clamshell, maybe throw that weight on your knee and try that for the last few seconds as well. You're more than halfway there already. Five seconds to go. And time. Beautiful. Switch sides. Make sure you're all set up and ready to go. 1 minute on the clock. Here we go. If you have trouble with lateral raises, this is a good way to try it because you can rest it on the floor at the bottom. So you can have that little break, work on building that shoulder strength without putting quite as much stress on those tendons. 20 seconds to go. Almost there, you got it. This is your last exercise. And time. Beautiful, sit all the way up. Give everything a good wiggle. Maybe swish those knees side to side. Loosen up the hips a little bit. Sometimes laying on your side like that can be a little uncomfortable. Go grab some water, and then we'll finish off with our final stretch. All right, bring it back in. So for our final stretch, I'm going to take a nice deep breath, bring our hands up over our head, and then exhale as we come forward. If you're doing this seated, you just lean forward in your chair, reach it down towards the floor, and then roll up nice and slow. Roll those shoulders around and back. We're going to do that 3 times. And then roll them forward 3 times. Beautiful. Breathe those arms up again. Fold forward. Come up halfway. And from here, you're just going to let your arms swing in nice, gentle circles. And then go the other way. Letting gravity do the work here. Stretching out those shoulders and massaging them a little bit. Bend those knees and roll all the way up. Then from here, we're going to breathe one arm up and go to one side for a gentle side bend. Come back up to center and go to the other side. Come back to center. From here, we're going to take one foot, put it out in front, peel the toes up, lean forward. Just pause here for a minute till you feel a nice stretch through the back of your leg. And then come back up, plant those toes. And then from here, we're going to take that forward foot and bring it across the body and do that side bend again, this time hopefully adding a little stretch through that hip flexor. Now, if you're doing this one in a chair, you're basically just bringing your foot out across in front of you. Hold onto the chair for support, and you can still feel some of that stretching through that hip flexor. Come back to center, and we're going to go to the other side. Same thing if you're in a chair. Put that foot out, toe up, and lean forward, just until you feel that nice stretch through the back of your leg. Come up nice and slow. You're going to plant that toe down. and then bring it across the body and go back into that side bend again. And release, come back to center. And we are all done. Fantastic job today. I hope you liked exploring the different variations, and I will see you next week.